All right, welcome everybody. I have Zack Engel with us today. He is the owner of Waymaker Insurance Group, so we're going to have a look inside his insurance company, and I'm going to start by letting him give a brief introduction about his history and how he got to the point where he decided to start Waymaker Insurance. So welcome everybody, and welcome Zack.
Thank you, Dom. Thank you for having me. My name's Zack Engel, president and owner of Waymaker Insurance Group, where we specialize in voluntary employee benefits. Briefly explain what that is. But a little history is I started in the insurance industry back in 2016 with an independent agency, HHM Insures, out of Moon Township, Pennsylvania, as a commercial insurance producer. We did a bunch of business insurance and also did personal lines of insurance as well. And at the end of that career, got introduced into what I'm doing now, which is the voluntary employee benefits side. And, the transition was the agency was being bought, and I had an opportunity to go out and start my own business doing this. And really, it was an idea to be a stopgap until I could go back after my commercial line of insurance business. But it turned out to be a really great program that I fell in love with. I'm super passionate about it and still doing it today, so it's very exciting. A little bit about what voluntary benefits are. It's a employee-based voluntary benefits program that we offer to companies, to where these employees get to choose products that best fit their family, which is super affordable with really no blood work or physicals, which is nice and unique to the industry. But it's good for both the company side and for the employee side. And so instead of getting in too deep on it, Dom, that's a little bit of background there.
Nice. That's awesome. So why don't you kind of elaborate a little bit as to how you make your connections and how you get your foot in the door. Let's talk about how that works on your side of things and how you actually get into these businesses in order to implement these programs.
Sure. So, my industry comes from building your network and obtaining relationships and strong relationships. That's where it really starts. So once you start establishing your COIs and your network and starting getting, building that out. Obviously, I had a sizable big book of business on the commercial side, so that was easy for me. But, as far as the clientele base, we kind of go after anybody from 5 full-time employees to really there's no maximum, which is unique as well. We can offer this program to any size business. There's no industry-specific restrictions as well, which is really nice. So we can go after manufacturers or roofers or small, mom and pop shops. The program fits for all. And so, we have an opportunity to talk to pretty much anybody in any walk of life. But, we really obviously target, the initial conversations with the owners of the business, general managers, the HR directors or managers, or, the people who are making decisions for their company. It's called worksite. So we can do it individually, but I focus on, and what our group does is focus on the worksite stuff, which is companies with, again, employee counts of 5 and more. And so, as far as types of industries, like I said, there's really no specific ones that we go after. We're pretty general. We just want to kind of expand this great program as much as we can across the board, really, because there's nobody who, and why I got into it, really, there's nobody who specifically really focused on this line of insurance that I saw throughout my 10 years, so I thought it was a great opportunity.
So let me ask you this. When you're talking to owners and like the people that you've worked with, do a lot of these companies already have something like this in place? Or is this the first they're hearing about it? Or maybe they've heard about it through the grapevine a little bit and kind of, never really explored it? Like what kind of are you hearing back from the people you're speaking with?
So, voluntary employee benefits or supplemental benefits have been around a long time, 50 plus years, maybe even more than that. So it's not a new product, but how it has grown and how it has really transformed into what it is today is becoming more popular. So to answer your question, that it's about half and half. Half of the employers that we walk in have somebody already in place. You got your bigger ones like your Aflacs that are out there that we run into a lot. Some of your smaller ones, Colonial and stuff like that. So I'd say half and half have it, half don't. The ones that do, which is interesting, that do have it, and why I thought it was a great opportunity, they know about it, but not in depth, not the way that they should. And also when we get an opportunity with somebody who has another carrier in place, we're very successful in going in there and implementing the program that we have. And so we like to see that people, because they're knowledgeable, they understand kind of how the enrollment works, the enrollment process. But it's better that they have it than not, because most people who don't, like you said, they haven't really heard of the program. They don't know of its benefits. We probably get more success as far as getting an opportunity with those clients, because once they hear us out and see the benefits for both sides, employer and employee, it's easy to implement. And for the employer, this is a program that doesn't cost them anything to put in place for their employees, but it does, I guess, cost them time for us to come in there and educate the employees, educate them, then do the enrollment itself. And then the managing of the post-enrollment is very minute when it comes to the service that is required on the employer side. So back to your original question, I see half and half. Both have been successful. Most people in general know very little about the program, so that's why it's growing like wildfire right now.
Nice. So I guess I've spoken with a lot of business owners, and let's talk about it from that point of view. So the, I guess, biggest draw or benefit to them is that the employees are covering the majority of the cost for these supplemental benefits. But, obviously as the employer, they're offering that service, so it's a benefit there. But let's talk about like what you see as the biggest benefit for like from the employer side, and anything else that they, is an advantage for them to implement this into their business.
So for the employers themselves, healthcare is extremely expensive and it is continuing to grow. So this is a great option for them. For those who don't have health benefits to implement this program, it's a great no-cost plan to put in place to at least offer discounted rates of the 5 products that we offer, and we can go into that too. So right off the bat, obviously when you talk to somebody and when you're either implementing a new program or expanding on your current healthcare plan for no cost outside of the time that we'll need to take to enroll, that's a big star, right? That's a big part of this, because, even though they could contribute, a lot of them take advantage of the no cost part of this. The next would be, which I think is maybe even a little bit bigger, is the employee retainage issue that people have nowadays. Employers out there have a hard time keeping employees, hiring new employees, and then obviously retaining them. So this is a great tool for employee retainage and new employee hiring. This program really helps drive both of those aspects as well, because you get access to, so how it works, when we go into an employer, it's all individually owned, it's all individually paid for, and it's 100% portable products, so they can take it with them, and no cost change for that as well. And so when you go in there and you get a group rated program, but it's individually owned and the rates can't change for the life of the policy, that's a big deal. And so we really try to work with the employer to promote this as something that is a part of their hiring process or their retainage process. Nice. And so, and just to kind of finish up real quick, it's super flexible how we do the enrollment strategies. We like to do it face to face. We're very hands-on, right? We like to educate the employees. We call it mandatory education. Voluntary benefits is a good slogan we use in the industry, because it's super important to educate the employees about what is available. And then obviously it's a voluntary program, so we sit down with them one-on-one, see what their family or individual needs, build out the program. And most of the time on the employee standpoint, we really kind of get some really good feedback on the pricing, which is super important. But also on the employer side, we can also include 1099 into that program as well, which is really nice and unique.
That is unique, so they don't actually have to be under the umbrella. They can be 1099 contract employees, and you can still offer it to them.
That's right. So as long as they're So the company that we use, their 1099 wording and their eligibility requirements are super flexible. So it's super awesome. We have a client coming up who is half W-2 and half 1099, but we're able to put the entire group under one umbrella. So it's really nice.
So like, I guess one of my questions I would have from the employee side is, if I'm a 1099 employee, how is the payment for this, getting deducted if I don't have like a consistent paycheck coming to me?
Great question. So it's super flexible, and it really comes down to how the employer 1099 want to do this. But most of the time what we do is, so we have worksite enrollments and we have what's called essential sales. Okay. And so that's the personal side of what we do. And so we marry the two. So on the W-2 side, you get a paycheck, right? Every week, every bi-weekly, monthly, however it's set up. They pull the deductions from your paycheck, and then the employer pays an invoice monthly. But on the 1099 side, they get everything, but it's pulled from their checking account.
Awesome. So they have the option of just basically linking that banking account. And then let's talk about the other benefits from the employee side. So obviously, I know that you mentioned earlier that they don't have to go out and do a blood test or a drug test or anything like that, since it's a group rated policy. So why don't you touch base on that and some other benefits for the employees?
Yeah, so why I'm passionate is on the employee side. So anytime you go into a company and you get the green light and I really like to try to do a presentation if I can. It's not a PowerPoint presentation. It's very personal. We touch base on a lot of stuff. But most of the time when I do that, and rightfully so, a lot of people are like, oh, just another insurance guy trying to take more money from me, right? It's going to be super expensive. I want nothing to do with this. But when we set up a good enrollment strategy too, and we make sure we see people, and once I explain to them how this works, and obviously really when it comes down to it, most people, how affordable it is, it really piques their interest. So right off the bat, benefits for the employees. It's again, like I mentioned before, it's 100% individually owned and portable. Okay, so what that means is you pay for it. As long as you pay for it, it's in place. The rate never changes. And if you leave for any reason, you can take this with you. That's when it would move over to a checking account. And again, nothing changes. So a lot of employer paid benefits that are out there, when you leave, you either can't take them with you or you get fully underwritten. And I'll go into that a little bit. And then your rates change pretty dramatically. With this program, it's a few yes or no questions. Some of the products are age and tobacco rated. So just on your age and tobacco, we'll change your rates just a tad. But there's no doctor's visits. There's no physicals. It's just a few yes or no's. But what's really, really nice and unique about this program is there's also a guaranteed issue limit that is attached to each of the products. Basically what that means is no matter what your health, if you have any health concerns at all, we can get you up to a certain limit depending on the size of the group is how it works. But say we offer term and a universal life insurance product. So if we come in and you're pretty unhealthy, or if you have a serious health concern going on and you wanted to get life insurance out on the free market, there's a great chance you could not. Or if you do, it's going to be extremely expensive. With this program, you get it up to the limit that we can provide, no questions asked. So that's a really big deal to a lot of people. Another benefit for employees too is they can get this on their family. They can get this on their spouse, their children, in some cases, grandchildren. Simply, it's easily payroll deducted. People love that part of it too. But a big piece of this is that, it's their products. And most of the time I get people out of the door with, like, just on average 2 to 3 of the policies under $100 a month easy. So, just to kind of throw out how affordable it is.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of numbers that they're looking at.
Nice. I mean, that's less than one dinner out per week, you know what I mean? Or per month, if you could just basically not go out to eat once and cook at home, that difference can get your family some nice policies. So
yeah,
I guess it's how everyone decides to look at it. I guess one thing I'd like to... Go ahead.
I was going to say, I probably should mention what the products are that are available.
Yeah. I was going to go there next. So, I mean, we're on the same wavelength. Go for it, buddy.
Yeah, so there's 5, okay? There's 5 products that are out there. Well, now 6 that we do through the company we do it through. There's a universal life, product that's permanent life insurance. There's a term life insurance product out there. You pick 10, 20, 30-year term. There is a short-term disability product. There is an accident product. So I call that the slips, trips, and falls product. That can also be 24 hours even if you get hurt at work. There is a critical illness policy too, which is for the big stuff: cancer, heart attack, stroke. Now, there's about 30 other covered conditions, but those are the big three. And there's also a hospital indemnity plan out there. If you go to the hospital for any reason, it helps pay with co-pays and deductibles as well. And then there's also a long-term care benefits rider that we can attach to all 6 of those. So those are the 6 that we offer right now.
Nice. So what ones, or maybe there's multiple, are your best sellers? Or where do you see a lot of the people really buying in at?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that it's unique to the group, right? It's unique to the industry that they're in. We do an oil and gas company where a lot of these guys are out on pipelines, right? So their body is how they bring income in for their family. So if they get hurt and can't make it in, it's important that they have a short-term disability plan in place to make income while they're out, right? Or if they get hurt, right? So it's unique there, where somebody who's a clerical worker who's sitting in an office all day more or less doesn't need an accident plan unless they're, riding dirt bikes. So it's very unique, again, to the industry and what they're doing. But most people across all industries, on how the program's set up, I sell a lot of life insurance through this program, mainly because most people want it or need it. But to go out there and do the physicals, do the blood work after a long day of work, right? It's a lot of people don't take the time to go do it. So I can do this on employee time while they're sitting there. Again, a unique part of this program is when we do enrollments, I do it face to face right here on my computer. They see live rates and they see exactly what's going to start coming out of their paycheck on the effective date. And then it's effective on that date, right? So they don't have to do anything else.
So just a 15, 20-minute conversation with you to kind of go through the enrollment process, and then, behind the scenes, everything else is taken care of, and it's just the deductions begin, and they're, automatically covered.
Right. So if we do, February 5th, how our program works, if we do an enrollment before the 15th of the month, the effective date can be the 1st of the next month. So if we were doing an enrollment today, 3/1 would be the effective date on the policy. So Dom, if you signed up for a life insurance policy as we were sitting here, 3/1, you start seeing that come out of your paycheck and your policies would be effective 3/1. And so it does take about 15, 20 minutes, some shorter, some longer, just depending on how the pre-enrollment goes as far as the education. Because, if I can really do a good presentation to the group, hand out folders so they can take it home prior to enrollment, I really encourage them to go home and talk to their spouses, families, and say, hey, this is what's available for us. And then a lot of the time it takes 15, 20 minutes because they kind of know what they want. Little short talk there, and then we get moving. Versus, if I don't get the opportunity to do the education part, it's a little longer, 30 to 45 minutes, because I have to explain each program to each individual, which is a lot of wear and tear on my vocal cords.
A lot of talking.
A lot of talking. I like to talk.
Well, that's good. That's why you're on the show. So let's switch gears. Obviously, this is going great for you. Where do you see it going in the next 6 to 12 months? What are some of the goals that you have?
Yeah, so my clientele right now is 0 to about 250 in employee count wise. Really haven't dove into the space bigger than that. And there's reasons for it. It's a lot more logistical stuff for the employer. So we've had some opportunities that we're still working on doing it the way that we want to do it. And that's kind of old school face-to-face enrollments. So I want to grow a little bit more in the space of 250 and over and utilize the virtual enrollment platform, the telephonic enrollment platform. We have a bunch of great enrolling agents just in the state of Pennsylvania and all over the country too, which is nice too. And I should mention, we can enroll in all 50 states. Bilingual too, agents that do it, everywhere, which is really nice. But I'd like to try to get into a higher employee count employer, so I really want to expand into that space. But really, the goal is to just keep moving. Try to expand this program. I'm trying to bring on more enrollers or agents to do this because I believe in it, and I think that it's a program on my side where it's a lucrative way to make money for individuals. So business on that end is something that's good for agents. So I want to bring them on. But again, it's very cost affordable to the employers and the employees, and so it's kind of a good balance for me. As far as where I see us going, I'm a commercial insurance agent at heart, so I'm really trying to get back into that space a little bit. With if you know the insurance industry at all, once you do one line of business and they trust you that you're going to do a good job, they want you to look at other lines of business as well. So getting into that a little bit more as well as trying to grow the voluntary employee benefits program.
Nice. Well, I think that's in any business, right? Once you have the opportunity to build rapport, to build trust with the individuals that you're working with, then it's a lot easier to communicate with just that one person and trust that one person if there's other assets that they can, help you out with. So I think that's across the board, but that's great to hear, and it's exciting that you're looking forward to getting back into that commercial side as well. So I wish you nothing but the best of luck in the upcoming next 6 to 12 months here as you continue to try to grow Waymaker and get into some companies that are over that 250 headcount, and get more enrollers and producers on your side and just take it to the moon. So thanks for being on the show, Zach. I thought everything was great, and hopefully you get some good visibility, and who knows, maybe you'll get some calls from this.
Thank you, Dominic. It was a pleasure.